And a very happy Tuesday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
Yesterday, John, L.A. County Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer held an event to enjoy and celebrate the brand new L.A. County Office of Worker Health and Safety. And Barbara Ferrer was tasked with doing crowd work for all the organizations that showed up at the event.
We have so many partners here today, and I want to just take a moment to ask that folks stand up or put their hands up so that you recognize the leadership that's in the house with us today, because it's fabulous.
And you could feel the enthusiasm through the microphone.
Oh, just get ready, Johnny.
California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative. So, yay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the acrylics.
We've got the Clean Car Wash Worker Center. You guys could all stand. Woo!
Oh, my.
Thank you for keeping my car clean.
I never thought we'd get Ferrer doing a woo.
Woo!
Wait,
Woo!
let's hear her do it and hear Ric Flair do it.
Woo!
Woo!
She's got nothing on the Nature Boy.
Now, that's all I thought I was going to grab out of this little press conference with Ferrer giving all the shout-outs. But then I had to skim ahead because it wasn't just Dr. Ferrer there. There was Lindsay Horvath from the L.A. County Board of Supervisors, and then there was L.A. City Council members, including Hugo Soto Martinez and Imelda Padilla.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
And I'm not kidding you, John. 10 seconds before we went on the air, I found this, and we're going to have to play it.
Also, to Dr. Barbara Ferrer, it's very nice to see you again. I was still at the county myself when the pandemic first hit. And I always said, if we would have listened to the woman in charge, the woman expert, we probably wouldn't have had those humps go in the summer.
Oh, my God.
What?
If we would have listened to the woman in charge, we probably wouldn't have had those humps during the summer.
Street pavements that are cooler. But it was a lot of the men that were in charge at the time that insisted the expert doctor didn't know.
Isn't the county run by 5 women?
Yes. All 5 supervisors are women.
But it was a lot of the men that were in charge at the time that insisted the expert doctor didn't know what she was talking about.
She's not a doctor, Imelda.
No, she has a PhD in social welfare. The actual doctor is the guy, Muntu Davis.
No, thank you.
I saw that. I watched that. And I just want to let you know that I will have your back always for your expertise, Dr. Ferrer. So thank you for all of the work that you do. You've really kept our community and, having true conversations of what it means to focus on the public health. So...
What do you think the odds are she has no clue Barbara Ferrer is not a medical doctor?
I would say 100%. Imelda's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Broken windy theory.
But I got to say, her saying this about Barbara Ferrer and her response to COVID.
Also, to Dr. Barbara Ferrer, it's very nice to see you again. I was still at the county myself when the pandemic first hit. And I always said, if we would have listened to the woman in charge, the woman expert, we probably wouldn't have had those humps go in the summer.
I had just the tiniest little morsel of respect for Imelda because she's done a better job for the district that I live in than her predecessor, Nuri Martinez. And occasionally she tells Ulysses that she's crazy. But now I've lost all respect for Imelda Padilla.
Well, here's what I think happened. Obviously, she's unaware that all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors are women because she seems to think that all 5 were men. And she also seems to think that Barbara Ferrer is a medical doctor and the people around her have degrees in things other than medicine. There's not one part of this story that she has right. Not one.
There was a lot of the men that were in charge at the time that insisted the expert doctor didn't know what she was talking about.
What men that were in charge?
I don't even know what to say about that.
Well, there's only one way to segue out of this one. And it's very similar to what we did yesterday. Kevin DeLeon's not the only member of the L.A. City Council that doesn't know the Pledge of Allegiance. Imelda?
Mr. President, today's Tuesday. It's time for the flag salute.
Wonderful. If everyone could please rise for the flag salute. Councilwoman Padilla, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice
and justice for all. Great. Thank you.
Okay. You know, I always say you get the government you deserve. What the hell is wrong with us?
Well, unfortunately, in my district of Van Nuys and Lake Balboa, it was between her and another DSA person.
So you made the only choice you could.
Also, to Dr. Barbara Ferrer, it's very nice to see you again. I was still at the county myself when the pandemic first hit. And I always said, if we would have listened to the woman in charge, the woman expert, we probably wouldn't have had those humps go in the summer.
Also, I was around in 2020. We were doing this show every single day in 2020. You could argue most of the problems that Los Angeles County faced in the pandemic were because we listened to Barbara Ferrer.
Maybe, just maybe, she's of the belief that COVID didn't give you a loss of the sense of taste and smell, but it gave you a hunchback.
I mean, we listened to Barbara Ferrer when we banned outdoor dining.
I don't know.
But it was a lot of the men that were in charge at the time that insisted the expert doctor didn't know what she was talking about.
Now, maybe Imelda's just confused. Is it at all possible that Imelda Padilla really thought that Sheila Kuehl was Louis Anderson?
It's possible.
I have no patience for people that don't wear masks.
Remember when she was giving someone an award whose name was Elton Ferry? The last name was Ferry.
Oh, yes, I do.
And remember what she called him instead?
The famous, the epic, also kind of a community leader, Elton John. Elton John. Elton Ferry. I'm not too long.
She makes $220,000 a year. Thank you very much.
And doesn't she have a master's degree?
She's one of the more educated members of the LA City Council. Not that that necessarily means anything.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And speaking of the County of Los Angeles, we know that they promised the president that they were going to do everything that they could to expedite the process of fire victims being able to re-permit and rebuild their homes that burned down in the fire. And Randy, we have an update on that.
Not one single permit for rebuilding has been issued in the Altadena Eaton Fire Burn area.
Wait, not one?
Not one.
And you do know that one is the loneliest number.
Wasn't even that. For more, here is NBC4 with a very pissed off Catherine Barger.
Quite frankly, now at 5:30, it's been 3 months since the Eaton and Palisades fires, and more than 16,000 homes and businesses were destroyed in those fires.
Many have already started rebuilding, but there are major delays in that process. NBC4 has learned the county is looking to make new changes to that end. Lolita Lopez live in Altadena right now with what she's discovered on this. Lolita?
Yeah, Colleen and Michael, what we've learned is that here in the impacted Eaton fire area, not a single rebuild permit has been issued to this date.
It's been 3 months and not one permit has been issued.
But, Randy, they're working on it.
And according to Supervisor Catherine Barger from this area, that is not what the county promised. So she says there will be a big vote tomorrow that could bring some big changes.
You know, the bureaucracy in Los Angeles County is a gigantic nightmare of a mess when one of the 5 heads of the county can't even make things happen.
No, this is why California at virtually every level, at the state level, at the county level, at the city level, we need a Doge. Because if you want to do something like re-permit these homes in an expedited fashion, The people who are currently there aren't going to do that because they haven't been doing that for their entire time in office. So if you're going to go ahead and try to teach an old dog new tricks, good luck with that. They're going to fight you every step of the way. Now, if you're willing to put on your boxing gloves and go to war with them over every little thing, then maybe you'll be able to move them along a little bit quicker. But a little bit quicker and expedited are two totally different things. It's like what's going on right now at the LA Times, where the owner, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, wants that paper to play it straight. He doesn't want them to have a political slant. He wants them to call balls and strikes. Well, okay, fine. You have an entire workforce at your newspaper who's been doing it the other way their entire career. Trying to get them to change on a dime is virtually impossible. So you could fight with them all you want. Maybe you'll make some changes around the margins. You're not going to get the product you want with the people you currently have. If the county is going to try to get these homes permitted in a timely fashion, you can't do that with your current personnel. You're going to have to figure out a way to ice them out and bring in new people and have those new people do it, or you're just going to have to fire all of them and replace them with people who have a can-do attitude.
NBC4 was there when Margot Stuber and her architect Trinidad Campbell submitted plans to rebuild on March 2nd Margot's home that was burned in the Eaton fire. The promise from the county, a 2-week turnaround time for...
Well, it's past that.
How many months are we at right now?
Well, the fire started 3 months ago. She got her permit. She got all the application and her architect ready to file for the permit a month and a week ago. So they said 2 weeks. It's been, how many weeks has it been? I need some help with this. Cecily, how many weeks has it been?
5 weeks!
Thanks, Cecily.
For a first review, and then...
And our goal is to issue a permit once applications have been submitted within 30 days. This is an incredibly high goal for us in which we intend to meet.
Which they did not.
Not even close.
Every single one of those daily press conferences where you had every single bureaucrat for the county, including Barbara Ferrer speaking for some reason, talking about we're going to roll up our sleeves, we're going to meet the moment, and all the other cliches that you hear, and they haven't done a damn thing.
No, but they all hate Donald Trump, so yay.
But that is not happening. Margot and Trinidad say 3 different departments are involved: planning, fire, and building and safety. And each one takes 2 to 3 weeks to review plans.
And this is for one house.
LA County, you voted for this.
Which means it could be at least 3 months before they get their permit.
And to be candid, I am not satisfied with the pace. To date, no building permits have been issued, and that is totally unacceptable.
If she can't do anything about it, as one of the 5 members of the Board of Supervisors, who exactly is in charge of the county at this point?
The bureaucracy. And this is what they found in the federal government, what Elon and Trump found in the federal government. You have what is essentially an administrative state that is in charge of the government. And if the electeds tell them to do something and they don't want to do it, they just don't do it. And if you kick and scream as the elected, they figure, okay, you have a 4-year term. We have civil service protection. We'll just wait you out. And that's exactly what they do.
One-stop recovery centers like the one in Altadena have brought together multiple agencies to help homeowners. But LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger tells us more needs to be done.
Not compromising health and safety, but at the same time recognizing that we need to do better.
She says a motion to cut through.
How hard is it to get somebody to do all those inspections at the same time?
Shouldn't be difficult.
She says a motion to cut through red tape will be voted on tomorrow by the LA County Board of Supervisors. It would create a permitting authority with senior level staff from different departments.
Okay, see, this is another problem with Los Angeles County. Every single time there's an issue with the county is terrible, the answer is create a new bureaucracy to look over the existing bureaucracy. That's what they did last week with LASA, and now that's what they're doing with the permitting.
Well, I think about this. They're going to say, well, we have a lot of people who are asking for permits all at the same time. Cut us some slack. Well, think about this. Think about what the private sector has to deal with on a regular basis. Let's say you're a big bureaucratic organization like American Airlines, and you have weather in Dallas, and that weather causes a lot of people to misconnect who need to be rebooked on different flights so they can get to their final destination. You're going to have thousands of travelers calling Res all at once, going on the app, going on the website all at once, trying to rebook their flights. And somehow, it's not perfect, but somehow they figure out a way to make it work. And every time it rains in Dallas, or every time it snows in Dallas, or every time there's a tornado or some weather event,
Dallas really has everything.
Pretty much. They have to figure it out. And somehow they manage to do it. If American Airlines, as big and as clunky as they are, can figure it out, how can't the county government?
There should be the new tagline. American Airlines, we're run better than the county of L.A.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you missed yesterday's show and you want to find out what you missed out on, that's easy to do.
Just search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast. Like, let's say you're listening in the Bay Area and you want to know exactly who this Barbara Ferrer is and how she was the most destructive person for any county when it came to COVID.
No, thank you.
You people in San Francisco think you had it bad? We had this.
Next slide.
Search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts.
And coming up later on in the week, we're going to Long Beach.
We are. How about this? Come celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gladstone's Long Beach and the 50th anniversary of the Long Beach Grand Prix this Friday, April 11th from noon to 3 as we celebrate Fan Free Friday. We'll be broadcasting live at Gladstone's Long Beach right on beautiful Rainbow Harbor in Long Beach. It's gorgeous. The view is amazing. The food is so spectacular. Gladstone's Long Beach, a great location for a date night, delicious get-together with friends, sunset cocktail, family meals, celebrations, located directly across from the Pike Shopping Center. That's where the parking is going to be. Leave early. There are going to be road closures for the Grand Prix, so we can't wait to see you this Friday.
All right, let's go back to the County of Los Angeles not approving one permit for fire victims to rebuild.
It's been 3 months. One family submitted their permit 5 weeks ago, and nothing. Because bureaucracy, you know what? Sheng Tao really did have a finger on the pulse of what was wrong in the state of California.
The bureaucracy is real.
You got that right.
So we need one point of contact that can override and really focus on getting it done in real time.
According to the Army Corps of Engineers, more than 1,500 properties have been cleared and are ready for rebuild.
And not one of them has a permit.
But don't worry, they're working on it. I told you that.
The fire supervisor Barger says an indication of the need to fix a broken permitting system and develop much needed housing, not only for those impacted by the fires, but for those building in the future.
So what have we been doing the last 3 months?
Those permits are stuck somewhere in the bowels of the county.
That to me is a total wake-up call to the bureaucracy that we are part of the problem, not part of the solution. So I believe that this motion will be a template moving forward.
And we got some new numbers from the County Department of Public Works late this afternoon. They tell us that 173 zoning reviews have been received connected to the Eaton fire.
So 173 people have sent in their permits, and 173 people still do not have their permits.
And the bureaucracy is aware that their bosses, the elected members of the Board of Supervisors, wants them to approve these pronto.
Doesn't matter. Who's really in charge?
23 have started the permit process, but once again, no rebuild permits at this time. However, there have been 2 temporary housing permits that have been issued here in the Eaton Fire area, and temporary housing could be anything from an RV to a mobile home to a manufactured home.
So you need a permit for an RV, and one person got that.
Not if you're homeless. If you're homeless, it's pretty much anything you want.
This is the nonsense of the County of Los Angeles. It is so impossible to get a permit done for anything, whether you're in the county or the city of Los Angeles. If you're trying to improve something on your property, you want to put in a pool, it doesn't matter. If you try to do things the right way, it's going to be forever. It's going to cost you a lot of money. You can be homeless and put up any structure that you want on a public street, and they can't do anything about it.
And this is why homeowners, when they attempt to do something to improve their property, don't even bother going through the proper channels because you know they're just going to gum it up.
In Altadena, Lolita Lopez, NBC4 News.
So there you go. In Altadena, which was devastated by the Eaton fire, even in a district that's represented by Catherine Barger, who's probably the most common sense person on the Board of Supervisors, not one permit has been approved.
I can't honestly say that I'm surprised. That's pretty much exactly what I would expect.
This is why that Karen Bass estimate of 5 years, even that's generous.
At this rate, it might take longer than that. All right. Now, you're monitoring the Barbara Ferrer press conference, and every time you dip in, they say something that pisses you off.
Now, I have to advise you, the sound for this entire presser is glitched because, of course it is, because the video feed is coming from the LA County Department of Public Health.
I have tech issues.
But it wasn't just Imelda Padilla who was giving Barbara Ferrer props, and let's hear that gem one more time.
Also, to Dr. Barbara Ferrer, it's very nice to see you again. I was still at the county myself when the pandemic first hit. And I always said, if we would have listened to the woman in charge, the woman expert, we probably wouldn't have had those humps go in the summer.
What humps?
Interesting theory.
Yeah, it wasn't just Imelda kissing Ferrer's ass. It was also Hugo Soto Martinez.
Yeah, clap that up. And, of course, to one of my most and famous constituents.
Most famous constituents?
I would like to know who else made that list.
His district includes Hollywood and the Hollywood Hills.
So you're trying to tell me that Barbara Ferrer is just as famous as any of the Hollywood celebrities living in the hills?
Oh, it gets worse.
Most and famous constituents, Dr. Ferrer, who we
not a doctor.
Nope.
Dr. Ferrer, who we crossed paths many times at GMO Stadium. She gets all the recognition. She goes on the big screen, and the council member.
Who's putting Barbara Ferrer on the Jumbotron?
We saw the video of her throwing out the first pitch. And she got booed. So don't try to rewrite history.
And the council member for the 13th gets no love, but that's okay. You're a rock star, and we appreciate everything you do.
Barbara Ferrer, you're a rock star.
Well, he's the guy who wanted to legalize stealing copper wire and catalytic converters.
That is true.
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
Barbara Ferrer, the queen of COVID, is a rock star.
Well, with endorsements like that, what can you say?
Barbara Ferrer also had plenty of nonsensical things to say herself.
The work we do in public health, make no mistake, is nonpartisan.
And we all believe that because we were born yesterday.
Certainly how she ruled us as the queen of COVID.
Yeah.
I guess she's nonpartisan in the sense of a monarchy.
And it's focused on the well-being of our entire population and communities.
Unless you don't wear the mask, then you can go to hell.
Or you want to surfboard.
Despite that, our ability to protect residents and workers has been threatened by massive proposed budget cuts from the federal government.
Oh, you don't say.
We're nonpartisan, but we all hate Donald Trump.
2 weeks ago, we were notified that more than $45 million in previously awarded grant funds, much of which was intended to last through July of 2026, was rescinded without notice.
Good for the federal government.
If they know enough about Barbara Ferrer in the LA County Department of Public Health that they're slashing her budget, they're doing something right.
Well, if that money's coming from HHS, that means it's RFK Jr. that's making those cuts, and RFK Jr. lives here.
Well, then he's well aware of her portfolio.
We were also noticed by the state that a portion of the county's immunization dollars and substance abuse prevention funds that come initially from the federal government were also terminated.
Well, maybe that's because you take federal grants for substance abuse prevention and you use it for harm reduction.
Which means you're giving drug paraphernalia to drug addicts.
Maybe the federal government doesn't want to be involved in that.
Mid-contract by the federal government. These are
85% of her office is funded by grants from the state or the feds. If the federal government really wanted to, they could take away all of Barbara Ferrer's power because the county's too broke to fill those gaps.
Oh, my gosh. I am so happy hearing that Doge and Elon Musk are cutting Barbara Ferrer's budget that I could kiss a Tesla. And if it had a gas tank, I'd slip at the tongue.
These are unprecedented actions, and the funds that are terminated are foundational to our public health infrastructure and our prevention efforts.
You got to understand, if these contracts were cut off when the funding is not there anymore, that means Barbara Ferrer owes a whole bunch of money to the manufacturer of the meth pipes that Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles passes out to the bums on Skid Row.
Oh, how great would that be if she stiffed them on the bill?
We are worried that the new administration is not...
Remember how she just said she's nonpartisan?
Oh, yeah. And now she's taking a Louisville Slugger to the feds.
...is not understanding the essential and critical importance of public health efforts. Given that L.A. County...
Maybe they've realized that you're not a doctor.
Yeah, they realize that you're a buffoon and it's time for you to get back on your broom and get out of town.
Given that L.A. County is a national epicenter for travel, trade, and demographic diversity, public health efforts that ensure that residents and workers...
Didn't L.A. have it worse with COVID than almost anywhere else?
It's hard to believe with this woman in charge.
...have the resources to protect from emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases, environmental hazards, workplace disruptions, and chronic diseases make economic sense and moral sense.
Please defund the crap out of this woman.
Not only should you defund her, can someone take away her parking spot? So one of the things that happens when legitimate mainstream insurance companies pull out of the California market because we're such a basket case is you have to buy your insurance from shady fly-by-night companies. And as it turns out, when you start buying your insurance from the woman with the big boobs on the billboard, your bank may or may not find that company to be legitimate. And that's exactly what happened to one person.
A homeowner who had a mortgage got a note from his lender that his insurance company doesn't qualify and they're not going to be paying his escrow. It's a tale that's about to come to a whole lot of people. Here is KCRA3 in Sacramento.
Well, we've seen the story. So many insurance companies are dropping California customers, and now a Citrus Heights...
Didn't Ricardo Lara say that was going to stop?
Oh, yeah, he's working on that.
A Citrus Heights viewer had home insurance, but just learned that his lender won't honor it anymore. And it was time to call KCRA3 to investigate. And here's Curtis Ming with more.
Golston, much like you have a credit...
Can't ever get over that name, Golston.
It's a great name.
Golston, much like you have a credit score, insurers get credit ratings. And we learned the rating for this viewer's insurance company, California Casualty Insurance, dropped from good to fair.
Sure sounds legitimate. California Casualty Insurance.
I wonder if it's one of those companies that doesn't even have a physical office. It's just a P.O. box.
Paul Chance notices home lender PHH Mortgage did not pay his insurance bill out of his escrow account as they usually do. And this letter explains why the lender indicated it would not accept his policy because his insurance company, California Casualty Insurance, does not meet the required carrier rating guidelines and does not have a 100% reinsurance endorsement.
Okay, this is how nonsensical this house of cards is. The lender doesn't want to use this insurance policy because that insurance company can't get insurance. The whole concept of insurance is imploding on itself.
Okay, so do you think this is indicative of a larger problem, or do you think this company is just really shady?
Reinsurance is essentially insurance that insurance companies have.
I think this is going to be happening to a whole lot of companies, whether it's because of California policies or not. State Farm is arguing right now that this could happen to them, but is that because of Ricardo Lara? Is that because of Prop 103, or is it because they keep buying stadiums?
Well, it's hard to tell because no one involved in the process ever seems to show up at the oversight committee hearings, and no one who has the authority to regulate these companies seems to be interested.
So I reached out to California Casualty Insurance based in the Bay Area, which confirms, due to a slight change in our rating back in mid-2023 and outgrowth of the extraordinary natural disasters of the last few years, a small percentage of California Casualty customers have been impacted. While most lenders...
Well, I would imagine all of your customers that have a mortgage.
Right, because these are the banks saying this doesn't qualify.
While most lenders still accept that credit rating, the insurer's CEO admits the rating does not meet standards for Freddie Mac-backed mortgages. But then Paul's situation got even more confusing because after he called his lender, they ended up paying his insurance bill. So are they honoring his insurance or not? He didn't know.
No one involved in this process seems to know anything.
That's my main concern. I've never had any problems with this mortgage company in the past. I've never had any problems with the insurance company. To treat us like this is just unacceptable.
And this is who usually is the victim of all of this, seniors that don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I'm sure Ricardo Lara is Johnny on the spot.
Actually, he's not. DJ Kitty Glitters has a set this weekend.
I'm very kind of sketched.
Well, we reached out to PHH Mortgage, and they won't comment on individual cases, but they do say if they paid an insurance premium.
How about that? He had a fly-by-night insurance company. It was backed by a fly-by-night mortgage lender. You ever heard of PHHS?
No, I haven't. But it seems to me like both entities are represented by Better Call Saul.
If they paid an insurance premium out of an escrow account, then they will honor that insurance. So it looks like Paul's covered until his insurance must get paid again. The insurer, California Casualty, says right now it's working very hard to bring up its credit rating.
Well, it's so confusing.
Yes, it is.
It is such a minefield with insurance that aren't covering anymore. And so
everyone's going to go on the FAIR Plan, and then the FAIR Plan can get away with writing the worst policies possible.
Well, and the FAIR Plan doesn't pay up. We're seeing that right now in the Palisades.
It's all a house of cards, and it's coming down, kids.